Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is my friend Haley Freeman. Hatch Freeman. She is the author of A Future for Tomorrow, which tells her remarkable true story, and a children's book called From Head to Tummy, the simple truth about food, media messages, self-worth, and real beauty. She has been interviewed on radio shows both in the US and in Canada. She's been on TV, including appearances on Good Things Utah Show. And her story has been featured in newspapers, national publications, and her books are available worldwide. Entire retreat programs have been developed because of Haley's book. She brings awareness to people's relationships with food, divine worth, media messaging, true beauty, and other eating behaviors. She also mentors women from all over the world. I'm honored that you're here with us today, Haley. Thank you so much for joining us, and I just know that you're going to bring so much value today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I'm so excited to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, my absolute pleasure. I love doing these, and I'm really excited to dive in and get people to know you more. So why don't you tell us an interesting fact about you and your life?
Okay, so besides what you said, some people maybe not know that I know sign language, and I used to be an interpreter for the deaf.
Yay! I love that. That is definitely something on my bucket list that I've always wanted to learn. And I think since I was 16, I had my first job, and there was a gentleman in the meat department of the grocery store I was working in that was deaf, and one of our coworkers actually learned sign language specifically to communicate with him. And it's weird, but I would just watch them communicate. I thought it was so cool, and it drew me in I was so fascinated by how it was going, how they were talking. And since then I've always said, I want to learn to do that. And I haven't yet, but it is on my list to do. So I love that I met someone that is fluent in that, and that you used to be an interpreter. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I still have, friends in the deaf community that I'm still a little rusty, but they keep me going, and so it's fresh in my memory, but I love it. So, and there's always time for you to learn.
Yeah, thank you. I know, right? That's super fun. And I love learning new things. So that's definitely one of the things that are on the top of my list to learn. So, so you're here to talk about fear, and I want to dive in and talk more about fear right away. So, when was a significant time in your life that fear held you back from living your life fully?
Okay, so since we're here to kind of tie in fear and the whole eating disorder situation, eating disorder is majorly about fear. Obviously, you have the eating component, and that's what it is. Fear of food, right? Fear of gaining weight. I hate saying becoming fat. I hate using those words, but it is a fear of gaining weight, for sure. But it's a fear of your own identity. It's a fear of being who you are, a fear of your own voice. It becomes so suffocating, that disease and that addiction. And at one point you become so lost in that addiction, you even become a fear of wanting to heal, because you say, well, who am I if I'm not the girl with the eating disorder?
Yeah.
It becomes, so definitely fear plays a huge role in eating disorders and addictions. Absolutely. I would love to tell a little bit about the story of my eating disorder, so people kind of know what's going on there. So it began when I was 15. I just, very teeny little seeds get planted in your mind. That's one thing with eating disorders that people don't realize. It's not just about food. It's not just about weight. It's really a coping mechanism of so many more underlying issues. One thing I learned is they call it the 10-headed monster. Why do they call it that? Because usually they say there's at least 10 different reasons that have happened to one person, 10 different triggers that have created a perfect storm that has created this disorder. That's why it's one of the hardest psychological problems to treat, is because there's so many underlying issues underneath. And you really have to find each one of those 10 heads, dig those up, and treat those to heal from the disorder. So when I was 15, these triggers started popping up. Things just like, depression, for sure, low self-esteem, feeling a need for control in my life. Often it's dealing with a traumatic experience of some kind. Seeing examples of my friends going on diet, hearing from media, messages of losing weight all the time, right? Family dynamics, so many things were bombarding me at a young age where this perfect storm was created in my life. So anyways, it went from guilt becomes a major role. I'd be interested to hear what you say about how guilt and fear connect. Have you heard? I'd love to hear that.
I haven't really had anyone talking specifically about the guilt. That hasn't really been brought up. Actually, now that you say that, I'm like, guilt is a big thing about fear, but I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe people feeling guilty about succeeding past other people in their lives. But other than that, nobody's really touched on the guilt part.
Huh. That's something we'll have to investigate that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I felt so much guilt from eating, like, at first, like a slice of pizza, right? Or I feel so much guilt about eating a dessert. I feel so much guilt about these things. And eventually, just eating guilt from, like, the pizza started migrating to eating guilt from eating a sandwich, to soon migrated to eating guilt from eating an entire apple. Maybe I should eat a half an apple. Maybe I won't feel so guilty. So my consumption just became smaller and smaller and smaller until, I was losing weight dramatically, and I just became sicker and sicker. I have my book here because there's pictures that can kind of help demonstrate, right? So here's my book. Now, I do want to emphasize that somebody can be very, very sick with an eating disorder and have eating disorder behaviors and not be emaciated. But in my case, I was. Okay, so this is what I looked like when I first started having the eating disorder behaviors. Can you guys see that all right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I was a normal teenager. I wasn't, but I was feeling like I was too heavy here. And then shortly after, now I have to tell you this, when I was put in the hospital, I weighed 80 pounds. I'm 5'10", but there was no pictures of me taken at this time because I was literally struggling to survive it. They weren't expecting me to be alive. So there's no pictures of my lowest weight. So I'd actually gained, we figured 35 to 40 pounds in these pictures, okay?
You had gained 35 to 40 pounds with this picture.
Yeah, so I had gained about 35 to 40 pounds. So you're going to have to imagine a lot less than this, which is super scary, super scary. So something that happens with our brains, which I didn't realize this, your brain, your nervous system, your body needs fat and the nutrients. Your body needs fat to absorb nutrients. Your body needs fat to actually think and function. So what happened to me, which is different than any other stories I've heard from people with anorexia, is I actually became completely psychotic. What does this mean? I didn't no longer know my own name. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to function in the world. I did not no longer, if someone handed me a toothbrush, I didn't know what it was or what to do with the toothbrush. Wow. If someone handed me a fork, I didn't know what that was or what to do with it. I didn't know how to feed myself. I didn't know what a brush to brush my hair was. I didn't know how to do any of these functions. So my parents, before they took me to the hospital, were hand feeding me because I remembered at this point my brain was playing tricks on me and I was hallucinating. I remember looking down at a plate of food, and in my mind, I saw hair and metal twirled up on this plate. And I remember thinking, why is my mom trying to feed me hair and snarled metal?
Wow.
And I couldn't understand it, and she didn't understand why I was batting away the food.
Right.
But my mind was just so sick. So anyways, I eventually got put in the hospital, but because my mind was so psychotic, I didn't understand what's going on. They were putting IVs in my arms, and I was tearing them out, and they couldn't put a feeding tube in my mouth because I was ripping them out. Wow. They didn't understand that my mom and them were hand feeding me, but they put me in the psych department, and they brought the plates of food. Well, the trays of food in the hospital, have you ever seen how they put the domes on top?
Yeah.
How would I recognize that as food, as something to do with that? I just saw this dome, And I remember smelling that there was food inside. I was starving, but I was so heavy. At this point, I was 80 pounds. I had no muscle on me. I couldn't walk because I had no muscle left.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I wanted food. I could tell there was food inside, but the dome was such a barrier and confusion to my mind, plus that it was so heavy. I remember grabbing at it, pushing at it, thinking, there's got to be something under there I can eat, but it was too heavy. I couldn't manage it. So then the doctors and the nurses took it away, said that's the eating disorder patient, she's refusing to eat. I kept losing weight. I lost weight again. And at this point, the doctors already said she's going to have a heart attack at any minute. She's not going to be able to survive this. My liver and kidneys were failing. My hair was falling out in chunks. My skin was dying. It was gray, and it was dying. It was sloughing off.
Wow.
But the parents weren't allowed to be in there because it was the teenage psych unit. But my mom had to fight the administration and said, can't you see this girl is dying? Do we not have the same goal in mind to save this girl? So she fought the administration staff, first parent in the history that was allowed to stay, and she saved my life.
My arms are like all goosebumpy.
Me too. I can't get emotional without talking about my mom saving my life.
Right.
She stayed there and she hand-fed me for hours. She said it would take about 2 hours to get through a meal. She stayed there and she would rub lotion on my skin. She would brush my hair. She would brush my teeth. Here I am, 16. I didn't understand what she was doing. She said that she would have to take me to give me a bath. And she said she would cover me with towels to try to give me privacy. And I said, I was so confused. I didn't understand what she was doing. She said, I would say, are you baptizing me? I didn't understand what she was doing.
Right. Yeah.
But she would do that. She would bathe me and shower me. And then she said she eventually figured out she could shower me, and she would put the plastic barrier in between us, and she'd put her arms around like this and try to shower me that way to give me privacy. But can you imagine? Can you imagine? So the hospital said, the staff said, she's not gonna live. Her heart's gonna fail any minute. If she survives, she's gonna be psychotic the rest of her life. I wasn't able to complete sentences. If I completed sentences that were very sporadic and disconnected, hallucinating, like I said, when I first entered the hospital, I wasn't even able to complete sentences. I was saying A, B, G, A, like just random words and letters. Wow. And numbers. And but she didn't believe that. She says, I believe in miracles, and we're not giving up on this girl. And that's what happened. We had a miracle.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you're not just like sitting there, you're talking.
I am here for a reason.
Beautiful. So, okay, so that was when you were 16. So, how many years ago was this?
So about 20 years ago, believe it or not. So I was in the hospital for a month. I did have a near-death experience. Anorexia didn't almost kill me, it did. I returned. My full account is in this book. Very sacred, very special experience. I returned because I had a mission. This is my mission. You are part of my mission. Thank you for having me here. I fought my way back. I'm here to say there is hope. People think, you know what, you have an eating disorder the rest of your life. No. You do not. You can beat it. There's hope to beat this thing, and there is, and I've been able to do it. And so that's my mission, to say there's hope. You can beat it. There's life after. So full of joy after. You can have it. And anyway, that's why I'm here. So that's my eating disorder story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that very, private, like that's a very personal experience, and the fact that your mom was there to just fight for you every step of the way, that's so special. And her stepping up to be who you absolutely needed in your life, like it literally had goosebumps every time we talked about your mom saying these things and fighting for you, because that's what parents are for. And the fact that she stepped up is amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. And my dad too. My dad was there too. He was there almost every day as well. But my mind was so confused where he would come and go. I wouldn't recognize him, It was hard, but he was there fighting too. And he, you know, my mom was the only one allowed to stay day and night, but he was absolutely there. Family, relatives, cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, we're all there too, fighting. But absolutely.
Yeah. So since we're already talking about that, like, let's talk about the relationship. So, did you lose out on any relationships in the process of dealing with your anorexia and being in the hospital and those kinds of things? Or did your relationships just get stronger with people supporting you and helping you? Tell us more about the relationships.
That's a great question. Anorexia is very lonely. It's very lonely. You want to be alone with your disease. Anyone that loves you wants to see you healthy, and so you feel like they're trying to take away your disease. They're trying to take away this addiction from you. So it's very lonely. I was so close with my brothers. I'm the only daughter, and my parents, but then this disease pushed them away for that year, because it was a year of intense anorexia for me and depression. I pushed them away because when I talked to them every time, they were concerned. They were saying, you need to eat more, we're worried about you. And that's the number one thing to look for if you're worried about your loved one, is if they get confrontational with you when you ask them, because they're not going to be confrontational if there's nothing to hide. Right. So if they're confrontational, if they're pushing you away, if they're fighting, they're hiding, that is a major red flag that you have.
I call that hangry, man. I call that hangry. That's how I am when I'm really hungry. You ask me questions, I get snippy, and you know I need to eat some food.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. But you know what I mean? If you're trying to hide a disorder, you're going to push them away. You want to be alone with your disorder. So yes, yeah. I lost tons of relationships with my family. My friends, they were going on with their life. They were happy. This was not a happy thing. So I definitely disconnected some friendships. At the beginning, I was able to confide more with my friends, and they kind of knew I had, they were the first ones I told about my depression. They were the first ones I talked about my eating disorder with. But eventually, they went on with their happy lives, and I wanted to be alone with my disorder. So once I started to heal, those relationships were able to heal.
So did your family know what was going on before it got that bad?
Yeah. So my parents were in a generation where eating disorders were not, they didn't really know what they were. They heard of Karen Carpenter, maybe, that she died of anorexia. That was about the extent of their knowledge of a disorder. They didn't know the trigger warnings. They didn't know what to look for. They didn't know what it was. They knew something wasn't right. My dad would say, oh yeah, she needs to put some meat on her bones type of thing, but that's about it, right? My brother, he was 3 years older than me. He was in the school systems with me. We kind of learned in health class about eating disorders a little bit. He kind of knew something was going on. He would come to them and say, hey, Haley needs some help. There's something going on. And so that made me not like him even more. Be like,
right, mind your own business.
Right? He kind of sent some flags out to him. And then once they started seeing me sicker and sicker and sicker, absolutely, once it became to where my health was so poor, it became a daily battle. My parents were like, we need to get you help. We need to get you help. And then once I realized I needed help, I thought I could do it myself. I thought, you're right. I need to gain weight. I can do it myself. I can just start eating. I could just start adding food in. I'll start exercising less. I know I shouldn't lose weight anymore. I am way too skinny. I could see in the mirror my bones protruding. I could see my hands were skeletons. My face was sunken in. I could see the veins popping through my forehead, and thought I could do it myself. But we underestimated the power of this disease. Every turn we underestimated the power of this disease, because you cannot do it yourself. You do need to get professional treatment, because why? All those little heads, those little monster heads underneath the surface need to be dug up and treated. I didn't know that. I thought it was just about eating. I thought I could just go and eat and it'd be better. It can't. So that is why it got to the extent it did. That's why my family kept saying, okay, we can do it ourselves. We can do it ourselves. We're going to beat this. We'll help her. We can eat. We can do this. You can't.
It sounds very much like a mental, it's very much a mindset and mental game of getting through it. So what kind of professionals and stuff did you need at the hospital? Tell us more about that.
Okay, so the turning point for me was when I could feel myself dying literally felt myself dying. I dropped to the floor after a shower. I felt my heart struggling to beat. I knew this was it. I knew I was done. I said a prayer to my Heavenly Father. I said, okay, please let me live through this moment. I will get help. I went to my parents, finally said, I'm done. I can't do it myself. I know I'm dying. They said, okay, we're getting you help. That's right away. We called the Center for Change, which is a treatment for a disorder here in Utah. It's, people come from all over the world to come here to Utah. Dr. Phil sends his patients to Utah, to the Center for Change. I saw that. I'm like, that's awesome.
You're like, it works. It works.
I know. Okay. I went to the Center for Change a couple times, but they started a treatment with me. I started seeing their nutritionists, their counselors, but then my mind broke, and they said, this is beyond. This is beyond what we can handle. She needs to be in the hospital. So that's how that happened. If I was to the point before my mind went psychotic, before I was to the point of death, I could have kept working with the Center for Change. It was beyond. It was out of their hands. It was way too much what they could handle at that time. And they were a new facility back then. Like I said, this was 20 years ago. I don't know if they, what they can do now exactly on that level. But so then I went to the like I said, hospital. 1 month, they put me on medications to help heal my brain, heal the depression, heal the antipsychotic episodes, hallucinations, all those things. They did high doses of nutrition, Inshores. Have you heard of Inshores? Those supplement drinks. Yeah, like I was doing those like crazy to supplement my calorie intake. After that, I moved into I was able just to do a counselor and a psychologist, things like that, to help with my medications at home. Really to help dig up all those issues. I mean at home, I mean my hometown area. I don't mean home. I mean my hometown area with the counselors. Then I went on to college, also went to a counselor in that area. When I moved again, got married, I kept doing treatment with a counselor that had connections with Center for Change. He was amazing. He's the one I probably give 99% of my healing to. As well as in college, I studied eating behaviors, continued my own healing that way. But the number one thing that got me through my healing, I say, is I chose it. I chose it. I was done. I chose it. I said, I am done with this disease. My mind, the power of my mind dug me into this hole. My power of my mind is going to dig me out. And I chose it.
Yeah, making the decision is definitely the biggest key for anything, and especially getting over a fear and struggle of anything that our minds are what hold us back from everything and anything that we want. And the fact that you said, the biggest part is that you made the decision. You were finally, that was the last straw. And it literally took you to feel yourself dying to bring that to light. But who knows, if it wouldn't have got that bad, what would have happened over time. So making that decision is the biggest key.
Absolutely. Sometimes the statement, you have to hit rock bottom, in my case, I think that's what it was.
Nowhere left to go but up.
Right, exactly.
So what advice would you give to people about fear in general, from your perspective about fear?
Oh, I think I go with kind of what I was starting to say. I mean, you have so much power in your mind. You could choose to overcome that fear. Just choose the opposite, which I feel is faith, is positivity, is, the opposite of that. I feel like your mind is so powerful. That's what I feel like. Whatever fear you are facing, just choose the opposite. Know that you have the power to overcome it and to beat it. And for me, I had to find that stubborn fire inside of me, dig in that stubborn teenage fire that I had at the time and say, I've had enough. I have enough. Find whatever you have that fear going on inside of you, say, I have had enough of this fear. I am going to kick it to the curb, and you can defeat it.
I love it. That's awesome. I want to hear more about, so you have a children's book as well. So the book you were showing us before, that's your story. So tell us about the children's book, Head to Tummy.
Yeah, I have it here. Head to Tummy. I had the most talented illustrator. Can I just give her a major shout out? Isn't that amazing?
That's
Lori
so
is, I was so blessed to have her as an illustrator. So how it came about, I'll kind of show you how.
Oh yeah, cool.
Isn't that cute? So how it
Yeah.
came about is I was doing my speaking, public speaking, had my book out. After my event, I had women coming up to me saying, your book, your story is so powerful. It's so needed for me and my teenage daughter. But my 5-year-old, my 8-year-old is coming home saying they want to lose weight. My 6-year-old was bullied at school because her friend said she had too much fat on her. True story. I had one saying, this is a true story. I had one come home, this is second grader, parent telling me that at recess, her friend said that she couldn't play cheerleader with her because she was too fat. And at recess, they were making her run laps at school to burn the fat off of her friend.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my.
So that is why I wrote this book. It breaks my heart that this is hitting our younger children, but I wrote this for them. So it's just telling about real beauty, true beauty. If you've been bullied about eating disorder, not eating disorder, weight-related issues, how to deal with that, knowing the true value of yourself, and how to deal with these type of issues in our world, the media messages you're hearing, how to deal with the truth behind all of that. Also, at the end of this, I have self-esteem building tips a parent can do with their children, along with tips to create a healthy relationship with food with your children for the parents in the back. So that's how this one came about.
That's awesome. And where can we find these books at?
These are on Amazon, as well as my website, which is HaleyHFreeman.com.
Okay, good. Awesome. I need to go get that book for my daughter.
Please do. I will sign it for her.
Do you ship them out personally?
I will send you one. Yes, if they come through the HaleyHFreeman.com, they are coming through me, and I will sign it to you. Let me know your daughter's name. I will sign it to her. Both of these books.
Awesome. I will definitely do that. Yay, that's always fun. So let's project a little bit here. I love thinking about the future, and it's been 20 years, you're moving really good through the fear and the struggles and helping more people. So now that you're living your life more fearlessly, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Doing what I'm doing. Doing what I am doing. I have a new book I'm writing right now. I'm writing it. I'm super excited about it. I don't want to say too much about it until it's released, but I'm excited. So that will be released, I'm hoping, fall-ish. And I'm just going to be doing what I'm doing. I'm going to be speaking more events. I'm going to be doing more vlogs. I'm going to be sharing my story. I'm hoping to save more lives, bring more awareness to this.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that so much. So where is the best place for everyone to come connect with you?
I am on Facebook, just Haley Hatch Freeman. I have a page on there for my eating disorder stuff like that. You can find it under the same name. I'm on Instagram. I don't use that as much, but you can find me there. And then my website. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there what is the last thing you want to leave with the viewers?
To discover your worth and to live by it. I feel so many times we make choices on our my battery's about to die, on our self-esteem versus our self-worth. Discover your worth and know that it is great and beyond anything you can comprehend. Your value is infinite.
I love that. I love that. Your value is infinite. That's perfect. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and coming on and sharing more about your story. And anyone that's listening, go check out Haley's website. Go get her story, learn more about the struggles and how she got through them and all of that. And Haley's just amazing to connect with. So go find her on her medias and connect with her. Haley, thank you so much for your time. And everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. Remember to love yourself and live fearlessly. Thank you.
Thank you.